Hello, everyone, and welcome live to 3 Wide TV tonight's broadcast of the Stay Tuned Sports Series. I am Peter Short, and Andre Grandbush will be joining me a little bit later here tonight. We're at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the second race of the Stay Tuned Sports playoffs for tonight's Nitro Memorial 200. We're already in the qualifying session here as the drivers are out there already taking time. It was a lightning fast practice session just a little while ago. We'll bring up the left-hand side of the screen there. Adam Dama was top of the board, but looks like the number 4 of Adam Newton trying to get back into victory lane in the PPG Ford Mustang. 4 wins to his name so far this season, but it has dried up for that Mustang. Could Indianapolis play host to win number 5? We will find out here tonight. Christopher Pendle in second, Steven Lashinsky currently third on the board, but we expect to see lap number 2 be their fast lap as Adam Newton out there hustling around 2 minutes 22 seconds left in the playoffs. We got Stay Tuned Sports in the chat saying, good luck everyone, take it easy on Peter tonight, still probably healing from that 49ers beatdown. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Cowboys got absolutely trounced last week, but Philip Scott, look at this, jumping up to second on the board in the number 99, or at the top of the board rather, in the number 99 World Ninja League machine. We'll see if he's able to hold on to that top spot with a minute 54 left to go. Adam Newton on lap number 2, not able to improve in the number 4 machine. It does look like, at least for right now, Philip Scott fastest of all in the World Ninja League Mustang. He's going to try and pick it up on lap number 2. We'll see if he's able to do so. Just looking up and down the scoring pile, it doesn't really seem like a whole lot of drivers are picking up on lap number 2. But Philip has about a tenth and a half on Adam Newton there in second, then Christopher Pendle in third, and Tom Lester in fourth. So some good, and ouch. Right there into the end of the pit wall goes Philip Scott. He definitely was not tracking a hot lap on his second lap. Here is Mike Floppy Tellier, the number 47 machine, running a Scott Riggs throwback. Wow, that takes me back quite some time as he's coming out of turn number 4. Not a great lap on lap number 1 for Mike. We'll see what he can do on the second lap here. See if he can pick up some ground. But at least for right now, that number 47 is going... Well, he did pick up some ground on lap number 2. That will be P5 for the number 47 Toyota Supra, as it seems like qualifying session is going to come to a close here shortly. Right now, no one else out there on the racetrack. We have 13 drivers in the field. 12 of those drivers have taken time. Let's go check out the 3 Wide TV chat. Anyone else out there in the chat would be glad to say hello. Darian Caitlin saying, let's go Adam Dama. Adam, actually the sponsor of tonight's Nitro Memorial 200. But looks like tonight's pole award presented by our friends over at harpoondesign.com rather, will be picking up the pole for tonight's race. Let me go see if I can quiet the dog in the background. Can you guys hear the dog in the background in the chat? Let's find out. Darian, can you hear the dog in the background? I think you probably can. Well, that is completely broken. That graphic does not... What the heck is up with that graphic? Well, we'll throw that away and see if we can figure out what's going on. But we got drivers out there gridding up on the front stretch. Let's see if we can go through tonight's starting lineup. Philip Scott, Adam Newton, front row. Christopher Pendle, Tom Lester, second row. Mike Tellier and TJ Elaine in row number 3. Steven Lashinsky, Adam Dama, Brent McKee, Thad Miller, William Ratcliffe, Jason Shue, and rounding out our field here tonight, Jimbo Casterline. Let me just step away for one brief moment, and we'll watch these cars start to roll as they work their way around the 2.5 mile Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All right, do apologize for that. We do expect to have Andre Granbush joining us here in a little bit, but looks like cars finally starting to roll out there on the racetrack for their single pace lap. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's race information. There you see the rectangular Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is the final race on a 1.5-mile racetrack. Of course, after tonight, just 2 races left. We got Kansas next week, and the week after that, we go to Homestead, Miami, which is where we'll round out the championship. So we've had a good number of our races on 1.5-mile tracks this year, but this racetrack is the final non-1.5-mile that will feature 200 miles, 80 laps around this joint. Of course, 3 sets of tires. We will have a one-stage caution, rather, here tonight. I believe that that one-stage caution will be coming out on lap number 25, so we'll be keeping our eyes on that. Of course, we'll get some playoff points as well for our playoff drivers, some extra bonus points to try and clinch their way into the championship race round of 4. We do have our 8 playoff drivers, and just want to highlight those 8 drivers. Of course, if you have not been following the Stay Tuned Sports podcast series so far this season, you might not know who those 8 playoff drivers are, but Adam Newton in the number 4 machine is currently on the front row and is the highest placed on the starting grid of our playoff drivers. Pace car on to pit road. TJ Elaine, Fred Lester, Christopher Pendle, Mike Tellier, Thad Miller, Garrett Gleason, Brent McKee are our other playoff drivers. Unfortunately, Gleason not here tonight. Green flag is in the air. We're going racing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as they head off towards turn number 1. Everyone getting rolling nice and neatly. Great start there by Philip Scott in the number 99. Adam Newton in second. Following right behind him is Christopher Pendle, Tom Lester, Mike Tellier, and the first side-by-side battle is TJ Elaine in the number 51, the Casey Kane throwback scheme. Of course, Casey Kane won the Brickyard 400 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway way back when. And, well, looking at the lap count, it's not a 200-mile race. It's a 250-mile race. So the league administrators changing things on us at the last minute once again. 100 laps, 250 miles for the NSRA series this year. So quite a long one for these drivers, as they'll have to start to settle on in. So this is going to be a little bit of an endurance race here, folks. We expect to see probably this race last a good hour and a half or so. A bit longer than most of the other races that we broadcast here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, or the Stay Tuned... It's been almost a full season. I'm still saying the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. All things considered, it's going to be 250 miles for the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Xfinity Series here tonight. On board with TJ Elaine in the number 51 machine. Looking at the back of Mike Floppy Tellier. Mike in kind of the Scott Riggs throwback scheme. Remembering Riggs ran the number 10 Valvoline machine way back when. I really like that paint scheme that Riggs used to run. Wasn't the biggest Scott Riggs fan back in the day, but I didn't mind Scott Riggs. Of course, he ran the Nesquik car, which kind of made me like him in the Xfinity Series, just because he doesn't like chocolate milk, right? The number 99, though, Philip Scott out front, already almost up to a second race lead, trying to pull away from the field. Adam Newton still has Christopher Pendle right behind him. These 2 drivers come into tonight first and fourth in the point standings. And Newton with a 6-point advantage over TJ Elaine. Fred Lester also 6 points behind Newton. And then Christopher Pendle is 10 points behind the number 4 right in front of him. The drivers in danger of not making it to the next round of the chase include Mike Tellier. Really, Christopher Pendle is on the bubble. Thad Miller, Garrett Gleason, and Brent McKee. Unfortunately for Gleason, not in the field here tonight. So not sure if he's watching the football game or what's going on with Garrett. But unfortunately for Garrett, looks like he will not be in the round of 4 when we make it to the Homestead Miami Speedway in just a couple of weeks, with not starting here tonight. That is a tough break for him. Of course, maybe he can race his way in with a win next week at Kansas. Garrett, alongside me on Monday nights. I just hate to say it, Garrett, but I don't see it happening for you, buddy. Maybe you can prove me wrong, but I don't know. Maybe you'll need Phillip to race for you or something. But speaking of Phillip, he's now over a second out front here, working lap number 4 as we got this good battle for the 3rd position between Newton and Pendle. Pendle, strong run off of turn number 4. Let's jump on board with the number 94 machine, the Bill Elliott throwback. I loved that Batman Forever scheme that Bill Elliott ran back in the day, and at least it looks like Christopher Pendle does too. I saw another Bill Elliott throwback earlier this week on 3 Wide TV, and it was the Mac Tonight scheme that was run earlier this week in the Total Nonstop Racing League, and it made me buy McDonald's. I just absolutely could not buy McDonald's after looking at that scheme. So luckily I don't have as much of an affinity for this scheme. I do prefer the Mac Tonight scheme over this Batman Forever scheme, but nonetheless it is pretty iconic nonetheless of Bill Elliott. Of course, Elliott winning one of his final races, if not his final race, here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And the numbers 9 scheme way back in, I think, 2002, if memory serves me correct. I could be wrong in that statement, but back when he was racing for Evernham Motorsports. But right now, the field pretty much single file throughout the field, and this is the best battle for position as Pendle again getting a strong run out of turn number 2. Using that draft down these long straightaways. These straightaways are almost a mile in length. You can get a strong draft and try and use that slingshot to make a maneuver on the car in front of you. At least for right now, Christopher Pendle not able to do so. Although he's going to get a little bit of clean air on the nose. He dives to the inside of the 4. There's that good run off of turn 4 again. And at least for right now, Pendle has that preferred groove off into turn number 1. And he will take that spot. So move Pendle up to 2nd, Newton back to 3rd. But we're still early in this run, about 19 laps away from seeing our stage caution here tonight. One and only stage caution that you'd expect to see. He's coming out on lap number 25. That's what's recorded. Of course, I was also told this was a 200-mile race, but it's a 250, so we'll change that in the description here on YouTube. Let's go check out the YouTube chat. Sam Young in the chat. I'm not sure if that's Sam Young or Sam Jung. I've heard it pronounced 2 different ways, but Sam, rooting on Will Ratcliffe here tonight. Will currently running in the 11th position. Let's find there is Will. Find him out there on the racetrack, coming out of turn number 4 onto the front stretch here. Running right behind Thad Miller in front of him, and Brent McKee then a little bit further up the road. You might just be thinking about saving tire at this stage of this run, especially with the field size only being about 13 cars. Don't expect to see a whole lot of cautions. I'm not seeing these cars be too squirrely as they come out of the corner either. So that kind of indicates to me we're probably going to see a lot of green flag racing here tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The race lead, though, has kind of stabilized. We had highlighted after, I think, 4 laps, it was up to about 1.2 seconds. Well, now it's only up to about 1.4 seconds as Christopher Pendle in that number 94 is kind of staying in touch with Phillip Scott. Adam Newton, on the other hand, he's dropped about a full second or so back behind Pendle. Tom Lester in the 4th spot is actually closed in on Newton. Mike Tellier right behind. And a little bit of a gap back to the Monster Jam number 9 of Steven Lashinsky. TJ Elaine in the number 51 has at least lost 1 spot. He started in 6th. He's now back into 7th position. Really, everyone's about where they qualified. Steven Lashinsky's gained a spot. Christopher Pendle's gained a spot. But everyone else, beside Adam Newton and TJ Elaine, which traded those positions with those 2 other drivers I just mentioned, everyone else is exactly where they qualified. So not the most thrilling race here so far, but still plenty of laps left to go as Philip Scott crosses the yard of bricks to complete lap number 9, closing in on the 10% race distance here tonight. Go check out the chat. Sam, how are you here tonight? Darian, how are you as well? Darian saying that could hear the dog. Finally got him to hush up while we were grinning. Oh, Christopher Pendle smacking the wall. Hey, looks like we got Andre Graham-Bush in the chat there. Andre, welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yeah, joined just in time to see a little bit of wall calibration, I suppose, out of the 94, getting a little bit tight out of the corner. I don't know what kind of handling conditions they've had. I'm a little bit late. It's been quite a day, but yeah, I'm not sure what handling conditions these guys have been facing, but I will say that's a common thing for old Indianapolis oval circuit. Those inside or outside safety barriers, they don't give you much leeway here, but so far, looking like not too much separation for a little bit further back in the field. I'm seeing Lashinsky, Tellier, Lester all within a second of each other. Got a bit of a gaggle of cars here from the 51 on back. Elaine, Dama. Good to see Adam Dama in the field tonight.
Yeah, Dama is our race sponsor with the Nitro Memorial 250 here tonight. So, like you said, good to have him in the field. Darian Caitlin also in the chat joining us. And that number 28, Yoda Works Toyota. We're going to close in on Elaine, who qualified 6th, now running in 7th. So good battle here. Kind of midfield, Andre. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Pendle's starting to close in just a little bit. Philip Scott, it was about 1.3 seconds now, just hovering about a second. So Pendle's starting to close in a little bit. We'll see if that continues as this run goes on.
Yeah, Pendle looking to get a little bit of redemption after last week. He really looked to be the car that was maybe going to win the race, and then just a little bit of misfortune here and there kind of took him out of it. But he closes in even more. You see on the timing and scoring now 9/10 of a second or thereabouts. Oh my goodness! I don't know if you saw what I just saw, Peter, but the 29 of McKee just materialized into existence in a plume of body parts and paint. That was something. But this battle right here, the 28 Adam Dama, 51 TJ Elaine. Adam's tried to make this move a couple times. He gets down low, but the thing about this track is you have to enter so high. You've got to make sure you take that high entry and then you arc it out of the corner. Otherwise, you're scrubbing speed. So when you try to make an overtake, it's inherently difficult. There's not a whole lot of banking. You can see as we go on board with Dama, there is a little bit, but you really don't feel it in the race car here.
Yeah, this racetrack with the speed that you carry down these straightaways, about 190 or so miles an hour before you start to either get on the brakes or roll off the throttle at the very least, because these corners are so sharp and so little banked that really the best way to set up a pass here is to back up your corner and try and get that strong run up off the corner like we just saw Adam Donald. Look at this. He is going like 5 miles an hour faster down the backstretch than the number 51 machine here of TJ Elaine. So that is a perfect example of backing up your corner, getting that strong run down the straightaway to make that pass. He did it, and he did it expertly. So move Dama now up into 7th. Elaine now back to 8th as he's going to fall into the clutches here pretty soon of Brent McKee and Thad Miller, who currently rounds out our top 10. Will Ratcliffe is a little bit further back. Jason Shue back there in the number 3, and then Jimbo Casterline in the number 18, just now coming out of turn number 4. Almost 20 seconds behind our race leader, Philip Scott, here as they work lap number 14. There is Philip legging it out just a little bit on Christopher Pendle, back to 1.2 seconds. Newton's still starting to slide back just a little bit behind him, but really kind of a good enough gap back to Tom Lester, Steven Lashinsky, and company. So let's focus on this battle, this mid-pack battle that we were just looking at. Andre, let's see if Brent McKee can kind of follow in the footsteps of what Adam Dama just did a moment ago and see if he can pull off the pass, although he might have just smacked the wall out of turn number 3.
Yeah, I've definitely made that mistake. You have to enter the corner so high that sometimes you go a little bit too far. You smack the wall on corner entry just because you're trying to give yourself as much room to angle that thing down into the apex as you can possibly get, and I think that may be what he did there. But luckily, it seems like with these Xfinity cars that you can take a light tap here and there, you can get into the wall a time or two. and it shouldn't be too big of an effect, but you can see as he comes out of the corner, it's everything he can do to keep it off that wall. Had to give a bit of a panic lift. You saw those 2 cars ahead pull away just a little bit. And the fast lap here is going to be whoever can ride that line the best, carrying the speed through those sets of corners and onto these very long straightaways. With how long these straightaways are, you talked about the speed you carry. It is insane, the top speeds these guys are going to reach here. And it all depends on how you get the exits out of 2 and 4. And so if you can get a little bit of a better exit, that's a huge mark for your lap time. But look at this, side by side. McKee, with a bit of a mistake in the previous corner, is going to give up the on-track position, it looks like, to Thad Miller. And he is going to take that right from McKee. That is for position. And now these two are going to be about 0.6 of a second, 0.7 of a second or so behind that battle that we were watching between Adam Dama and TJ Elaine, who I believe TJ Elaine and Chris Pendle, are both running paint schemes that are somewhat throwbacks to real paint schemes that were run at the Brickyard through the years. Pendle, I want to say that's a Bill Elliott paint scheme, number 94. And the 51, I'm not entirely certain when that was run, but the number 5 right there, actually, I'm not even sure if that is the correct number on that. Yes, it is, 51. That's a Casey Kane paint scheme, isn't it? Because he won the race here, Peter, where it was almost going to get shortened for daylight because they'd had so many cautions that the sun was setting. They thought they might not get it in, but they got a late race restart, and Casey Kane drove away in that number 5 Farmers Insurance car, got the win.
Yeah, you're right. That coming maybe in his penultimate season. I can't really remember, but of course, Casey now racing in the World of Outlaws, which are up in my neck of the woods this week. They are headed to really the birthplace of World of Outlaws, the Devil's Bowl Speedway here in the DFW area. So, not sure if that's on my agenda tomorrow night or Saturday night. But hopefully I'll get to go to the World of Outlaws this weekend here. It's going to be a beautiful weekend here in North Texas. And finally, the 100-degree weather has abated and allows for some more outdoor activities. But looks like that number 51 of Elaine is starting to make a charge as we're now about 8 laps away from our stage caution. On board with Adam Dama, now back to TJ Elaine as they head off in towards turn number 1. TJ running just a little bit lower on the racetrack. Andre getting a little bit of clean air on the nose. That will help with the rotation in the center of the corner.
Yeah, Adam Dama made the pass, but he's not really driven away. And I think it is because of that clever lane choice that Elaine's got. He is running just a little bit lower. Sometimes he'll run a little bit higher on corner exit. Just trying to get the clean air, get out of the turbulence, and it seems to be working out pretty well now. Right here, he's going to duck down to the bottom. He's to the quarter panel of Adam Dama. Question is, will Adam give it to him? Looks like they're going to stay side by side through the center, but in the corner exit, it is going to be all Elaine. Now, that is a tough situation for the 28 because everything I said about not wanting to take a shallow entry, having to enter up high, well, it kind of goes the other way too. If you are not able to get that car angled down towards the apex and you are forced to take a wider radius, the car is going to tighten up major. I mean, it's going to feel so tight through the corner. You're up in the marbles. Nobody really runs the corner up there, so you have to take it at a much slower rate of speed. So it's tough to get up underneath somebody, but if you do, sometimes you can do exactly what Elaine did right there, force him into a lift and take that position back. So it's a complicated thing, passing at this circuit. It's not easy for anybody involved, the passer or the passee, but these guys managed to figure it out pretty well. And again, Adam Dama's not letting him get away. These guys just seeming to trade the position back and forth, but never really having any major difference in pace, although I will say Dama going a little bit tight in that corner there. He may be suffering some tire wear, which is incredibly easy to do. It is easy to use and abuse your tires at this track, being as flat as it is and being as fast as it is. And at that point, the car will cease turning. It's a car built to turn left, and, well, it'll stop doing the one thing it was built for. It is not a fun experience driving on old tires. But this battle here, looks like Adam Newton, Steven Lashinsky. Lashinsky, of course, rocking the Monster Jam paint scheme that he's had pretty much all year. And the number 4 PPG machine that we've seen. I always like consistent paint schemes, just kind of a side note. But these two closing in on one another. I think Lashinsky is just a tick faster on some laps, but then Adam Newton looks in his mirror He says, all right, I'm going to have to pick it up a little bit, and he gets those tenths back, and so on and so forth, but a little bit squirrely out of the 9. He actually gained some time getting sideways, which means, you know what, might be driving a little bit hard, but there's going to be some stage points on the line very shortly, so definitely worth it now to use whatever that car is going to give you coming down the straightaway, about 3 car lengths between them. It's all about the speed carry through 1 and 2. Looks like the number 9, not just down on that white line, but flirting with the grass, which is ideally what you want to do. But again, playing a dangerous game, don't want to clip that grass, don't want to get sideways. But if you can hook the very, very bottom of the pavement, it is fast. And you can see the number 9 closing in those 2 or 3 car lengths now, right at the back of the number 4. He's got a real shot if he gets a good set of next corners, maybe making something happen on the straightaway.
Yeah, trying to make something happen on the straightaway, not quite able to do so. But like you mentioned, Andre, those points are going to be handed out here momentarily in about 5 laps. Philip Scott still holding on to a 1.3 second lead. Not really been able to get away from Christopher Pendle, but really not losing any ground either. So just kind of managing that gap up at the front of the field. I'm a bit surprised, Andre, that Adam Newton's fallen off over this run. You know, we saw him at the beginning of the season, I alluded to it earlier, winning 4 races in, I think, the first 6 races, something like that. And it's just really calmed down, cooled off all of a sudden for that PPG Ford Mustang. I know he's hoping to find that form again here as we move into next week at Kansas and then the season finale at Homestead, Miami. Of course, he's been good on the mile-and-a-half racetracks, but just hasn't really been the same Adam Newton that we saw at the beginning of the season. I know he got off to such a hot start. We thought, well, maybe he could walk away with all the wins this season, but just hasn't quite been, as the field has really been working to catch him, and they've done so. They've done a great job over the past 6 or 7 races of kind of stepping up to the challenge that Adam Newton put before them and being able to close in on Newton in the point standing. As we got a taker on pit road. That is Adam Dama. Here comes Dama on pit road a little bit early, Andre, just before the stage caution.
Yeah, so what he's doing right here is he is sacrificing some stage points for some potential track position. Now, Adam Dama's not in the playoffs. He's not in the points picture. He unfortunately had to miss a lot of races due to some real-life obligations earlier in the season. So points don't matter to him. What matters is a good finish, and he can do that by coming down pit road, taking 4 fresh tires and fuel. Now, when the caution comes out, all the race leaders that are staying out for points, they're going to have to pit. He stays out. Now, he's going to restart in front of those guys, and he's got himself a great opportunity into the final stage of the race. Now, I would say the advantage of a track like Indy is that you can generally pit without going a lap down, but he was far enough behind the leader that, as you just saw, Philip Scott and Chris Pendle got around him, and so that is going to negate a big factor, a big advantage of what he just did, because he may have to take the lucky dog wave around, at which point he won't get that track position. He'll have to start tail into the longest line. So it was going to be a good strategy, but maybe just a bit miscalculated. Yeah,
so Dama 1 lap down, and we are just 1 lap away from the stage caution. Of course, Dama will get the lucky dog. That is true. We have also seen that Thad Miller, unfortunately, has had connection issues, I think, on more than one occasion. That has put Thad multiple laps down here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So tough break for the number 81 of Thad Miller. As at least it looks like Philip Scott, 1 lap from now, will be picking up the stage points, stage caution. We'll see whether or not that holds true, but with a 1.7 second lead, he's really been legging it out over the last couple of laps, gained about a half second on Pendle in that number 94. You can see behind Pendle, that's Adam Newton on those fresher tires. Just not sure he's going to have enough time to unlap himself. Thad Miller just now working his way out onto the racetrack as well. I think the tough break for Thad is he might have used, Andre, his fresh sets of tires. He might have used more than one because he's had to take a tow back to pit road more than once. That would be absolutely killer because you only have 3 sets here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Series. Philip Scott went across the yard of bricks to win stage Number 1, the only stage, Christopher Pendle in second. He's going to pick up the most points of the drivers in the playoffs. That could be important. Adam Newton coming across the line in third. Then behind him, Steven Lashinsky, Mike Floppy Tellier fifth, Tom Lester, TJ Elaine there, and rounding out our top 8, Brent McKee goes across the line. We expect to see the caution flag here momentarily. Jason Shue in ninth, and William Ratcliffe comes across the line in 10th. There is the caution. The first caution of the night here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll have to re-rack him momentarily, but it was a strong first stage for Philip Scott, leading every single lap from the HarpoonDesign.com poll.
Yeah, pretty impressive run. 25 laps to the stage. He led every single one of them and had a bit of pressure from behind. Pendle never quite got within striking distance, but he never left his mirror, never let his presence fade away. So I'm sure Philip was kind of doing a little bit of mirror driving, checking the gap, and having to be extremely focused. But great points for Pendle, and the battle between Newton and Lashinsky. I really thought Lashinsky might be able to make a swing at it before the end of the stage, but he got up to him, got in the dirty air, and wound up where he wound up. But now these guys are going to be coming down pit road. Adam Dama is going to be the lucky dog recipient, which, again, unfortunately means he will have to start tail end of the longest line. So the potential gain from the strategy he pulled is going to be negated by that. But the pace car lights are on. Everybody has the opportunity to come down. And like you said, Peter, 3 sets of tires. We're going to be burning one right now here on lap 27. So let's just round it down for the sake of me trying to do head math here and say 25 at the stage is when they're taking tires. That's 75 laps left. You're going to have to stretch it a little bit further here in this next stop than what they just did. So that's going to be tough for these guys.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You go 25 laps or so here. Of course, we'll probably be going green around lap number 30 or so. So maybe 2 35-lap stints to the checkered flag if that's something that they can do on fuel. I'm not 100% sure. Of course, this race is also 250 laps here tonight, or 250 miles, not 250. If it was 250 laps, Andre, we'd be here for a while. But 250 miles, 100 laps, a little bit longer than a typical race here in the National Sim Racing Association.
Yeah, it is a little bit longer, and I think that's going to put these guys in a bit of a situation that they're maybe not quite as comfortable with, just because they're so used to the slightly shorter race distances. Somebody had a big issue getting into their pit stall there. Was that Adam Newton in the number 4? He put it in reverse big time. He may have nosed it into the wall. I believe that was Newton. Yeah, he's second in line. I don't know what transpired there, but that was huge, huge issues. Taking a look at the 3-wide TV replay. Let's dissect this. He is definitely going to lose some track position, so he's got Lashinsky behind, coming up on his pit stall, and just cooked it. Just came in a little bit hot. Maybe wasn't expecting it to be where it was.
Yeah, I don't know if he hit the wall too hard, but he is going to lose a lot of track position, down to 7th in his machine. I'm just a bit surprised. That's kind of unlike what we typically see from Adam Newton, but probably better to have that happen under caution than under green flag conditions, that's for sure.
Yeah, I would have to agree, and it is kind of out of character for Adam Newton. These kinds of mistakes you don't generally see. I do remember earlier in the year he had an issue getting onto pit road, but that was under green flag situation, and it was definitely a different context than that. So now he's got a little bit of work to do, being back almost dead center of the field there in P7. He's got McKee, Lester, Lashinsky, Tellier, Pendle, Scott all ahead of him. Adam Dama now joining the lead lap cars as well as he's getting caught up, which can be difficult to do at Indianapolis here. It's such a big track. Getting caught up to the field can sometimes be a little bit of a hustle. But luckily this caution has been enough laps that you see him there top of the frame in that yellow car closing in. So it's going to be difficult. I mean, we've seen that passing has been at a premium tonight. It's not something that you can just, I'm going to pull up to this guy and I'm going to use any of 3 or 4 lanes to get around him. No, it's kind of a one-lane track, and it takes a while. You can pass, but you got to set them up. You got to knock them down. It's a process, and I don't know, a lot of cars, and he's going to want to get a good points finish tonight being in the playoffs. But lights are off on the pace car, so we're going to double them up and get back to racing here right at lap 30. So it'll be 71 to go when that green flag is thrown by Barney. And these guys are going to have to think about conservation, think about fuel saving, tire saving. Just make sure that they get those sets of tires they have to the end. And with the 3 sets, Peter, you can get to the end, no problem. But one thing I'm thinking about as well is, normally they have at least 1 set to play with, or they have enough sets that if they conserve, they can save themselves a set. I don't think with this race length that there's any situation that these guys are going to have a set to play with at the end. There's not really going to be a strategy set. So conservation, all the more important.
Yeah, definitely conservation will be important from here. Got to save those tires. We definitely started to see a couple of these drivers fall off just a little bit under that last green flag run. Hopefully we can see some more racing here for position, as really looking up and down the scoring pylon. The biggest change on the scoring pylon so far in this race has been under this caution flag. So that might shuffle the deck a little bit as the pace car heads down on the pit road. That is, I think, Thad Miller in the background hustling to catch up to the back of the field. Unfortunately, 2 laps down for Thad. Going to need a couple of caution flags, but the green flag back in the air. Andre Philip Scott has led every lap so far here tonight, and he's out front with a good restart.
Yeah, that was a good jump for the 99. Pendle going to slot in second where he's been the majority of the night. But Lishinsky, who was 4th, he was battling with Adam Newton for that podium position. By virtue of the mistake that Newton made, he's going to slide up on to that 3rd step. And he's going to slide up on the step and out into the wall as well, which really opened the door for McKee. You saw he got really close. Thought about making the move, thought better of it, but here we go down into the corner. McKee looking down low. Is he going to do a little bit of a send here? Not quite close enough. I think if he was a little bit closer, he may have, but Adam Dama already up to 5th. How about that? Adam Dama already up to P5 here, and everybody else just starting to get a bit of leader into the wall. Philip Scott.
Whew. Yeah, Philip just getting, I think, a little bit tied up out of the corner, Andre. We haven't seen these cars getting loose here tonight. You kind of, when you got here, you're like, I don't know how these cars are. I think these cars are a little bit on the tighter side here. So I just really haven't seen anyone break loose so far.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they're working with a loose race car at all. I think what they're fighting is a tight condition, and that's only going to get worse the longer the run goes on. And given the fact that this has been a majority green flag race, it's looking like they may have some more long runs to look forward to. But this right here, look at Pendle up on the bumper of the 99. I gotta wonder, that was probably the hardest hit to the wall that I've seen since I climbed up into the booth here tonight, and I gotta wonder if he didn't give himself a little bit of aero damage, because on the straightaways that 99 is actually pulling him just a little bit, or 94.
Yeah, with these long straightaways, the draft will come into play. That is for certain. So we'll see whether or not Christopher Pendle can take advantage of the situation, although he almost ran into the outside wall. These cars, they're really flirting with that outside wall so far. There's still a long way to go, though, here, Andre. Still 69 laps to go.
Yeah, that is quite a ways to go at a track like Indianapolis. We're looking at about 50-second lap times, give or take, sometimes more, sometimes less. Riding on board now with the 94. You can see taking a bit of a shallow entry there, arcing it up to the wall just enough. I mean, millimeters he's playing with there when he slides out, but he does gain in those corners. You can see he pulled up to that 99 just slightly. Now he's going to try to stay in the draft, and we're seeing a little bit of the IndyCar tactics out of Philip Scott. He's trying to duck low, duck high, break the draft, but Pendle being very vigilant about that. He's staying behind him, not letting him break that draft. But down into 1, now into turn 2. Again, taking that slightly shallower line and then arcing it up into the corner. Looks like this time the advantage goes to Philip Scott. He got a slightly better set of corners, and that's what it's going to be. Just whoever can carry a little bit more momentum, and it will trade back and forth. This is a difficult track to hit the exact same marks every single lap in and lap out. But it does seem that consistently, we may see it again here through 4, Chris Pendle's preferred end of the track is 3 and 4. where he is just as quick as our race leader. And it's turns 1 and 2 where it seems like Philip Scott starts to pull away a little bit. And I know that, both ends of the track look identical, and really theoretically they should be, but there's just something about it. I've driven enough laps on this track to know that the two ends of the track feel different, whether it's the shadows going into turn 1 kind of obscuring your braking zone and your ability to see what you're doing going into the corner, or what it is. They definitely feel different.
Yeah, I've always felt like they are just a little bit different. It's not, it doesn't feel like a perfect rectangle. It definitely doesn't feel symmetric. For me, I've always been able to get a better run through turn number 1 and 2, maybe keep it a little bit wider open. 3 and 4 tends to be a little bit slower through turn number 3, and then turn number 4 here, you tend to be a little bit more wide open than you are through turn number 2. So it definitely drives a little bit different from each end of the racetrack, that is for certain. But for right now, Christopher Pendle is not able to do anything with our race leader, Philip Scott. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But Andre, let's look a little bit further back in the field as Mike Tellier is battling back here. He definitely lost a couple of spots. He's lost 5 since the drop of the green. Started in 5th, now running in 10th.
Yeah, so he's a little bit further back than where he'd like to be, and further back than he qualified, and maybe just kind of struggling with the setup. That 47 back, just clinging on to the top 10. He's got Jason Shue behind, but he is looking to make a bit of a move here on Ratcliffe in the 95. He's going to get down underneath on the quarter panel, and oh boy, I was going to say he almost made the move, but then he got a little bit sideways, and that cost him enough time that he was not able to complete it. It was a great save, though, and he was able to rejoin the track right behind that 95 Ratcliffe, so he's going to have another swing at it here before too long. But it's been a tough night for that 47. That's the first time we've really seen anybody get loose, but that's what I was talking about earlier. You want to be right down by that grass, right down by that curb, but you don't want to clip it. The second you get into it, you're going to be having a bad time, and I think that's unfortunately what Tellier experienced, and now his tire's a little bit warmer from that slide. Gives Ratcliffe a bit of breathing room, a little bit more comfort as a little bit further back. Somebody's going down to the apron, maybe trying to let somebody go by there. I think that may have been Casterline and Shue. But it looks like we are going to pick up one position on the pylon for Tellier. He does get around Ratcliffe.
Yeah, now going to have to set his sights on Adam Dama. So the driver from Sarnia, Ontario, down in the 9th position as they run. Looking a little bit further forward to Adam Newton trying to recover from his pit road mishap. I think restarted down in 7th. He's up 1 spot up to 6th, trying to chase down Tom Lester in front of him. But Andre, we talked about saving tire. The fact that he lost a couple of positions under that last green flag run, I think that's going to hurt him trying to save tire here, because he's going to want to recover those spots back as fast as he can.
Yeah, you want to make that time up while the tires are still fresh, because the older they get, the harder that job of making overtakes is going to be. So you want to strike while the iron's hot, but unfortunately for Adam Newton, the iron is getting cold. It has long since been pulled out of the fire, and he's only picked up 1 position from where he restarted. He did restart in 7th. He got around TJ Elaine in the 51, but once he got up to Tom Lester in that 48, he's not quite been able to make the move. Tom's been on a bit of a hot streak in the last half of this season, Peter. He went from being a driver that was, generally driving, right on the bubble of a top 10 finish to being a legitimate contender to a top 5, top 3 week in and week out. So, when you pull up on that 48, you're pulling up on quite a competitor, and he's just been doing really good this year.
Yeah, definitely has been doing really good this season. It's kind of been a breakout season for him here in the National Sim Racing Association. Brent McKee, though, leads this small little chain in the number 29. Our winner from Monza earlier this year now pushes up the racetrack. That's going to open the door for Lester for that 4th position right now, as McKee in danger of losing that 4th spot. I was just about to sing his praise to say he's running well up the field, but now in danger of being freight trained. It looks like Adam Newton going to draft with Tom Lester all the way down the front stretch, and they're going to be side by side off into turn number 1, getting a little bit tight. McKee washes up the racetrack. That's going to continue to open up the door. Almost smacks the wall. letting it all hang out, still nice and tight. TJ Lane now in the number 51, looking to try and get a 2-for-1 special here out of turn number 2.
Yeah, how about that? You don't often see bump drafting at a track like Indianapolis, but the number 4 car was definitely doing some pushing, and it got them right around Brent McKee. I mean, there was really nothing realistically that he could have done to defend that move. You got 2 cars bump drafting down the straightaway. They're going 7-8 miles an hour quicker than you. There's really no way to block that. You just kind of have to roll over and hope that their momentum stalls out, but it did not. Now TJ Lane going to get around him as well. So in just the matter of a lap or two, McKee going from 4th all the way down to looks like P7. So just kind of slipping down the running order. But again, it's a long race, and he is keeping pace with those guys in front of him. So not all is lost. Up front, Philip Scott, Chris Pendle, it is about a 4/10 of a second gap between them. And then you got another 6/10 or 7/10 to Steven Lashinsky with a bit of a breakaway there. And then a huge 4-second gap from Lashinsky to Lester, who we are focusing on now. So, in the first stage there, Peter, we saw the leader kind of get away. We saw the top 2 kind of get away. But it was really 2 distinct packs. Now, we're almost seeing 3. We got the 2 leaders. We got Lashinsky in his own little world. And then we got a bunch of battling further back. Lester, Newton, Elaine, McKee, and even Mike Tellier trying to make himself a part of this as well, as he's actually clicking off laps that are slightly faster than McKee. So different paces all throughout the track, but definitely some good battling here in the middle.
Yeah, these are the best battles on the racetrack, although up at the front of the field, if you're keeping your eye on the scoring pylon there on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that Christopher Pendle has not let Philip Scott get away. Still about 3/10 between those two. Jimbo Casterline in the number 18 Stay Tuned Sports Toyota is on pit road right now. Not sure if this is an unscheduled pit stop or what, but Jimbo is coming to his pit crew. Might be calling it a night, might not be. But that Toyota Camry, get a good look of the Stay Tuned Sports machine as he comes to his pit stop there. That Supra gonna get some extra fuel and maybe some fresher tires we see out tonight's race. Philip Scott up front now. Well, I said there, Andre, that it was about 3/10 of a second. Well, it ballooned all of a sudden. Not sure if Pendle might have had a problem or something like that, but up to a half second just like that.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of what we saw in stage 1 and kind of what I mentioned. These guys are going to trade off lap times. I think, one lap, Philip Scott's going to be a little bit quicker, and then the next lap, Pendle's going to be a little bit quicker, just because this track, obviously, it isn't a road course, but it kind of races like one in that nobody's going to click off laps that are just within the 100th of a second consistent. You're going to slip, you're going to slide, and little bitty mistakes, because of how important speed carry is, if you miss the mark by just a little bit in the corner, that's going to be the difference of almost half a second a lap, depending on if you hit the right mark or if you don't. And so these guys are going to trade it back and forth. But Lashinsky really impressing me right now. He is keeping up with Pendle, who we know is every bit capable of keeping up with our race leaders. So 3 cars very close in pace up front. And remember, I not too long ago just said, well, Lashinsky's kind of off in his own little world. He's about a second back from the leaders. Well, now he's with them. So I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what lines he's running, but he needs to keep doing it, because that number 9 Monster Jam machine is coming.
Yeah, Lashinsky all of a sudden on a charge in that Chevy Camaro, like you mentioned there. So far looking good here. You see some fire spewing out of the exhaust as he works for turn number 4. That indicates he's well off the gas there before jumping back on it to power down the straightaway. Maybe trying to back up the corner a little bit, Andre, to get that strong run that we've seen really be the only way to make a pass here. So it definitely seemed a little bit tricky, but a good run there through the center of turn number 1. Now can Lashinsky back up turn number 2, try and get that strong run. He's a little bit lower on the racetrack, but Pendle able to get the power down pretty well. Now Lashinsky going to use that draft. Is not quite close enough as we work our way into turn number 3.
And not quite close enough. Again, what I said at the top of the broadcast, or at least the top of the broadcast from when I joined, I was not there for the top of the broadcast, but you have to set them up, right? You have to get down to that quarter panel, and you have to kind of pull up alongside them before you even get to the corner in order to force them out of line. You can't really dive it in underneath them in the middle of the corner and outbrake them like you would at other tracks, just because of the design of this track, the radius of the corners, the relative lack of banking. You really have to plan out your moves and execute them over the course of an entire lap rather than just in one corner. So Wyszynski, he's close, but he's going to have to get up alongside him if he wants to try to make the swing at it. And he's getting such good runs out of the corner. Here we go to the top side now. This is interesting. Took that momentum to the top. The 94 is going to have to take a shallow entry here. And actually, he's going to say, nope, I'm not entering down low. I will give you the position just so I can come back up the track. That was a smart move out of Pendle right there. That was a good piece of driving. I think if he had to enter the corner down on that white line, he'd have had a lot more time lost than what he just did. So good in the moment thinking. But all this battling has allowed Philip Scott to pull away by about a second. These guys were 4/10, 6/10 behind the leader. Now it's 1.4 and 1.6 respectively. So now that they're done battling, we'll see if they can start to reel them in a little bit here. But Philip Scott definitely liking what he's seeing in the mirror. He was a big benefactor there of that fight.
Yeah, and of course we are now just 5 laps away from the halfway mark, and seeing the cross flags here at Indy. That'll be 125 miles down, 125 miles left to go, as Wyszynski there having some connection issues. Let's look a little bit further back in the field. Mike Floppy Tellier has charged his way up into the 6th position. He was running down in 10th or 9th when we last saw him. He's been able to get around Tom Lester. So Tellier definitely showing some might here as this run continues on. Going to try and track down TJ Lane and Adam Newton. Newton's just not really showing that same level of pace that he saw earlier on. Of course, he's had more work to do with that pit road issue. He's finally recovered up to the 4th spot, but wow, look at that. 6.5 seconds or so behind Christopher Pendle in the number 94. So Newton has a lot of work left to do, especially with the fact, Andre, that we have been green flagged since, of course, the stage caution. And the stage caution is the only caution we've had so far. So a lot of respectful, clean racing in and amongst the field here tonight. That is always good to see, as William Ratcliffe might have just had a little bit of an issue, just lost that spot to Jason Shue. That is a battle for the 10th position. Andre, let's see if we can catch this one on the 3-wide TV replay.
Yeah, we'll try and scope out exactly what happened. And going on board now into the corner. He's going to get down on that apron. And right there, gets the curb a little bit, but he's got just a ton of momentum. I don't know what happened to Shue, but just lost some momentum on the high side and maybe giving up that position intentionally. I'm not entirely certain, but interesting scenes for sure. Up front, though, Wyszynski, 1.1 seconds back, so he's gained a couple tenths, but by no means is he marching towards, oh my goodness, Chris Pendle. Big wiggle out of turn 2. That's going to be one of the first times we've seen somebody get loose not off of the curb and as opposed to being tight out of the corner. So going to give up a little bit more time there. But there's the lap time differential, Wyszynski and Philip Scott. So Philip Scott was faster on 44 and 45. But then looks like on 46 and 47, Wyszynski started to reel him back in. So you can see right there, just trading them back and forth. It's the nature of this track. 1.2 seconds now the gap, and really, Peter, as long as he can keep them within about a second or two coming up on the first round of green flag stops, that is a gap that you could easily make up either with an undercut or maybe just getting a slightly quicker pit road entry and pit road exit. And let me tell you, if these guys are going to be using the access road, which I believe they are as iRacing mandates, and they're not just merging straight into turn 1, there is a lot of time to be gained or lost depending on how brave you are, because as we ride on board with Mike Tellier here, you can see on the bottom of the track that access road is very thin, and on either side there is grass, which is essentially going to act as ice the second the tires make contact with it. So if you want to be a brave driver, you want to go out there and you want to get as quick an exit as you possibly can, you can do that. but it's high risk, high reward, and so just keep them within distance and you got a shot.
Yeah, I think you basically summed that up perfectly for all the fans back at home watching on 3Y TV. Let's go check out the chat. Stay Tuned Sports says, gotta know when you're way over your head parked for the night. So I guess you gotta know when to hold them, and you gotta know when to fold them. So Stay Tuned Sports, Jimbo Casterline calling it tonight. Probably gonna check in on the football game. That, of course, Stay Tuned Sports series sponsor here. If you want to go check out all the news in the sports realm, go check them out. Jimbo, how are the Phillies doing here tonight? I think the Phillies were playing tonight, trying to work their way into the NLCS. I have to say, finally, my Texas Rangers have returned to the American League Championship Series in search of their first World Series. And I think probably a good majority of the United States will be rooting for the Texas Rangers for once instead of the cheaters, the Houston Astros. Meanwhile, here comes Mike Tellier with that strong draft down the front stretch, Andre. Able to draw a level with TJ Lane here. And, whoa, contact! Tellier sliding. Wow. That I was about to say, sliding into the inside wall, but
I think
somehow he saved it. Yeah, he saved it.
I can't believe he didn't hit the wall. I need to get a second look at this here on the 3Y TV replay because I can't even fathom how he avoided that wall, what the physics of this were. You can see he's going to get a little bit loose there, and then he's going to get tight up into TJ Lane. So now he is in a four-wheel slide down towards that inside wall, full lock to the right. And, I mean, he just brings it back around. I mean, he made it look easy. I can't... Let's look from the car behind. We'll go on board with Tellier, actually. Get a better up-close and personal view here on the hood. See a little bit loose there, getting tight into TJ Lane right here. And then, I mean, if I was a betting man, I'd have said he's absolutely hitting the wall. But no, what an amazing move.
Yeah, that was a great move. Now on pit road is Adam Newton, Mike Tellier, and Will Ratcliffe in the number 95 also on pit road. So right at the halfway mark, Andre, this is actually pretty interesting because I think they used a set of tires on lap number 25. They're using another set of tires on lap number 50. I guess they'll have one extra set that they'll use on lap number 75, and that will get them to the end of the race. So I guess just squeaking things out on tires here tonight. Philip Scott out there on the racetrack, though, is your race leader. Lashinsky in second, who, all things considered, is still kind of closing in slowly but surely.
Yeah, 1 second on the dot. So he is reeling them in just a little bit, and I know that if you look ahead of the leader, there's going to be a little bit of traffic. Newton coming out of the pits, Adam Dama going to be coming out of the pits as well. So maybe a little bit of dirty air. I don't know, but 0.8 of a second now as they round 3 and 4 for Lashinsky. It looks like our race leader going to come down pit road, take a bit of an undercut on Lashinsky. So Lashinsky's going to lead this lap, but he is going to be giving up a little bit of time staying out on these older tires. I like that move by Pendle, coming down last second, kind of keeping everybody on their toes, not giving them any heads up about his strategy there. And now he's going to have some fresh tires and hopefully avoid any mistakes here coming down pit road. Don't want to pull an Adam Newton by any means, but he does have the first pit stall on pit road as a result of getting the pole, so should be a pretty easy entry and exit down into his stall. So sure we're going to see the jack stands go up on both sides, but out on the track, you can see just behind our leader, not forward position, Mike Tellier, who just had that big moment into turn 1. But Lashinsky all clear out front, all clear out back. It's going to be 11 seconds back to Lane, 3 seconds to Pendle. Does he come down this time? No, he doesn't. So Lashinsky definitely sticking to a bit of a longer run strategy here. He's dedicated to it.
Yeah, we'll of course have to see if that works out for Lashinsky, as a little bit of connection issues there, trying to do the the old overcut. You see Mike Floppy Tellier starting to close in back behind, trying to unlap himself as he finds himself one lap down in this pit cycle. Lashinsky running up the racetrack. That's not going to help the Monster Jam number 9 running up the racetrack like that, but Tellier slips on by our 8th placed car as they run right now on the racetrack, and of course now the last car on the lead lap. So we'll see just how long it will be until Lashinsky makes that hard left turn onto pit road. Let's see if he does so this time in the Monster Jam Chevrolet. So far, everyone having good, clean pit stops, so no pit road speeding penalties. Lashinsky stays out again. So the Monster Jam Chevy running along in this green flag run. I don't blame him. He's doing something a little bit differently than Philip Scott. We have seen Andre Phillip lose a couple of races this year due to pit road either pit road issues or strategy not falling his way. But who knows? Philip Scott could be on the bad end of the card here tonight. He also could be playing his card right. We still have 45 laps left to go here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Stay tuned Sports saying the Phillies are up 2-1 in the bottom of the 6th. And yes, let's go Rangers. How about that? Jimbo's rooting for someone in the DFW Metroplex. That isn't the Cowboys. But like I said, it's easy to root against the Astros, the cheaters from several seasons ago in the MLB. I went to a Rangers-Astros game just after that all happened, and a bunch of Rangers fans had trash cans. And somehow they had got trash cans around the stadium, and they were actually drumming on trash cans. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny to make fun of the Astros, but Lashinsky still continues to click off these laps. There's TJ Lane just now rejoining in the number 51 machine, just making his green flag stop. So that leaves Lashinsky, Pendle, Lester, and Shu, the 4 drivers, yet to make their second pit stop of the night.
And I want to point out, look at the scoring pylon on the left-hand side. Take a look at the gap that Newton, Tellier, and Scott have to our race leader, Lashinsky. Look at how quick they're gaining. They are several seconds per lap faster than Lashinsky. At this point, if he doesn't get a caution, he is in some big trouble because he has given up so much time on these old tires. And, again, sometimes you got to do what the leader isn't doing. You got to try to catch him off guard, mix up the strategy a little bit. But going for a long-run strategy, banking on a caution in a race that has been caution-free, that's a high-risk move. And unfortunately, it may bite Steven Lashinsky. I'm not even sure how much further he can go on fuel, as the caution ended right on lap 30. So he's coming up on, it'll be 29 laps once he crosses the stripe on this tank. And I commentate so many leagues, I can't remember. I might need a refresher here, Peter. Does the NSRA do reduced fuel capacity?
I believe they do, and it actually sometimes depends on the racetrack that they're at. This racetrack, though, interestingly enough, is 100% fuel load. So, next week and at Homestead in 2 weeks from now, they run a 3/4 tank. But here at Indy, maybe because of the longer race, they're running 100% fuel load. They ran 100% fuel load at Talladega and at iRacing Super Speedway to start the season. So only 3 races with full fuel tank, but all the other races they run with a reduced fuel tank. So I don't know if that's just a factor of it being a 2.5 mile racetrack, but that is allowing Steven Lashinsky to run longer than most weeks on this tank of fuel.
Yeah, that he is, and he really is one of the final holdouts here. Lashinsky, Pendle, I believe those two have yet to come down pit road, but as well as Lester and Shu. But Philip Scott, Adam Newton, Mike Tellier, TJ Elaine, Brent McKee, Adam Dama, these guys have all made their stops. So really not too many drivers that have opted to take this longer run strategy. Thad Miller a little bit further back, he is still 3 laps down, and bad news for him is it's looking like Ratcliffe may be the eligible lucky dog were we to get a caution. Although again, 60 laps, the only caution we've had is for the stage. I can't say that is terribly likely to begin with. But let's see. We are at 30 laps on the dot that he has been running on this tank of fuel on these 4 good years. Let's see, is he going to come down at this time? He's going to go through 3, down the short chute into 4. And if he's going to come down pit road, he's going to start rolling it up right on corner exit. And he is not. He is going to arc it out to the wall. He's going around again, Peter.
Yeah, he's definitely stretching this one longer than I was expecting to see. Surely he has to come on pit road in the next, at least the next 5 laps, I would think. But that should get him... Just wonder if that's going to get him in the window. Is it going to get him in the window to only make one more stop here, Andre? I mean, that seems a little difficult to believe that all the other drivers would not kind of stretch it on fuel to only make one more stop here tonight. But it's been 35 or so laps since he was on pit road. If he can make it another 2 or 3, 4 laps or something like that, yeah, he'd be done pitting for the night.
Yeah, if he can. We'll see. And you got to remember as well, some of those laps that he had run were under caution, which is going to burn less fuel. And to make matters worse, he's kind of been on his own ever since Philip Scott came down pit road. So he's not really been able to slipstream. He's not saving any fuel by virtue of the draft either. So it's going to be tight. I'm not going to say that it's impossible, but even if he can make it on just one stop, I'm starting to think that, maybe the taking 2 stops is still going to be faster either way. We'll have to wait and see. Philip Scott now 28 seconds behind the leader, so he's not gaining at the rate that he was, but he is still gaining. So, I mean, I don't know. Philip Scott taking one more stop, let's say around lap 75. That'll put him on fresh tires. Lashinsky taking potentially one more stop from here. Looking at the gap on track, it could be close. I don't know. That's hard to call.
Yeah, let's see if we can get any indication, maybe of. Well, unfortunately, his hand is blocking. Maybe we can get a look. No, I just wondered if he was clutching the number 9 machine and trying to save fuel, but I'm not seeing that out of Steven Lashinsky here. So we're down to 38 laps to go. I think just on the edge of where he can make it on fuel. And yeah, I think this will be close. If Lashinsky can make it another lap or 2, I think he might be in that kind of window where he can make it the whole way, and then it's going to be the rest of the field trying to play catch up.
Yeah, I really would have thought, Philip Scott, like I said, he's still gaining. But I would have thought he would be gaining a little bit quicker at this stage in the run. I think this is it. This is the lap. He's not coming down. Okay, I saw the gap start to decrease a lot between him and Scott, so I thought maybe he was getting on the brakes a little bit harder than normal. But either way, he's going to come down pit road. He's going to cycle out behind Scott, but then he's going to have fresher tires. He's not going to be that far behind him. He'll very likely be able to gain some of that time back. We saw Philip Scott go from 50 some odd seconds back to being 24 at the current moment. Yeah, it's going to be really, really close. And I got to wonder what the goal lap is here for Steven Lashinsky. Is it going to be lap 65? Is he going to try to take it even further? I don't know. But with the confirmation that this is 100% fuel capacity, going from lap 25, pits open at 26, and he made 4 pace laps. I don't know. I can't imagine that he could make it 70. It's got to be coming soon. I'm going to place my bets. Here he comes. 64 coming to 65. So Steven Lashinsky now coming down pit road. And that is going to be one of the final dominoes to fall. Lester still needs to come down pit road, but I would imagine he is going to follow suit unless he just wants to lead a lap for the heck of it, which I don't know. That scoring and timing, he's going to do it. He's going to stay out another lap. So Tom Lester taking that 48 to the stripe. But let's see here. Where is he going to cycle out in relation to Scott? You can see it is now right there. So Philip Scott goes by. It's going to be a big gap to make up, but with Philip Scott having to pit one more time, I don't know, that is an interesting call. Tom Lester, the hyper miler of the race, I'd have to say, going about as far as I think we'll see anybody go. in that 48 machine. If he does not come down this time, I will be shocked.
Yeah, well, we saw last lap Steven Lashinsky finally blink to come down pit road. Will the 48 of Lester do the same this time in the Fox Factory Ford Mustang? So far looking good at speed. Let's see if he gets on the brake out of turn number 4. No, he's going to continue. Andre, he's trying to save that set of tires as long as he can in that Mustang.
I cannot believe he's even got enough fuel to do that. That is pretty crazy to me, but he is staying out for lap 66, coming to 67. A little bit behind him there, you've got Ratcliffe, who is a lap down, although he is looking to maybe unlap himself the old-fashioned way if he can get around this 48 prior to his pit sequence. Either way, Jason Shu, the next car, a lap down behind him. But in the meantime, as we expect Lester to come down pit road soon, and Philip Scott going to be reassuming the lead for the time being. I know last week we got a request to do more crank it ups. So how about we do a little crank it up here on lap 66, taking the sights and sounds of Indianapolis.
All right. Well, we did see briefly while we were on board, I think for Christopher Pendle, the number 48 of Tom Lester finally coming down pit road as we complete lap number 69 as Philip Scott goes across the yard of bricks here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Nitro Memorial 250, presented by Adam Dama in the number 28 machine. Been a little bit of a quiet night for Dama, Andre. He had such a good run going last week in the Yoda Works number 28 Toyota Supra. I was really impressed with the runs he's been putting together. Here tonight, maybe just a little bit quiet for him, but nonetheless keeping it nice and clean.
Yeah, he's not made too many mistakes, and he's put up some respectable lap times as well. So, I can't stress enough how difficult it is with a simulator like iRacing if you're not dedicating an almost absurd amount of time to it, it's tough to just hop in the sim and be competitive. It's not like a normal video game where you can kind of step out of it for a while and then come back. And Adam Dama, the line of work that he's in and just how busy his real life has been, he doesn't get to race as much as a lot of these guys. So the fact that he can come back here and in the last couple weeks run pretty good top 10 solid runs all the way through, not get into any scuffles, not dent up that car at all. It's solid. You really can't ask for much more, because I'll tell you what, I haven't raced on iRacing in probably 4 or 5 months, and I know that if I jump back into the sim right now, I would not be doing as good as Adam Dama. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, Dama's done a great job since returning to the Stay Tuned Sports Series, for sure, as a 7th place, but clean run here tonight and at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway continues for him. Meanwhile, Philip Scott is out front. We would expect Andre to see Philip Scott on pit road around lap number 75 or so. He pitted on lap 25. He pitted on lap number 50. So you do the math. Lap number 75 would be the next time or so. We'd expect to see him down to throw on a fresh set of tires. Now, we did highlight that Steven Lashinsky in the number 9, he, of course, finally pitted on lap number 64. We think he's good to the end based off of the fact that we saw the number 28, the number 48 of Tom Lester go almost 40 laps on a tank of fuel. I think he went just over 40 laps. A couple of those laps were cautioned, so let's say 38 laps or so on fuel. That should get Lashinsky to the checkered flag. So we think Lashinsky's good to go. No more pit stops for him. He might have to save some fuel, Andre. He is 22 seconds behind Philip Scott, but with the pit lane time being about 50 seconds here at this racetrack, and you're probably going to lose about 35 to 40 of that. Lashinsky's, I think, in a pretty good spot to get back up to the front of the field when some of these drivers eventually do come down pit road. TJ Elaine coming down pit road in the number 51 to make his final stop.
There goes TJ Lane in that Casey Kane throwback scheme down pit road. This will be, again, like you said, the final stop for him with about 28 laps to go, give or take, here in this event. There is the 48, Tom Lester, the driver who went the furthest out of anybody in that last stint, just about 40 laps. He pitted on lap 66, and he pitted on lap 26. Now, granted, there were a few pace laps thrown in there, but still 40 laps, even with the pacing. Quite the distance to go. Race leader Philip Scott in that 99 has 10 seconds advantage over Adam Newton. Chris Pendle is going to be 20 seconds back, and Pendle actually not alone back there. He's got a little bit of challenge from Mike Floppy Tellier in the 47. And Lashinsky on much fresher tires than any of these guys is 22 seconds back, so he is very likely going to catch up to Tellier, catch up to Pendle, maybe get around those guys. But like we were kind of talking about there during the Crank It Up, Peter, I don't think Lashinsky's going to really catch up to the leader. I think the difference in tires is already somewhat equalized, at least to the point where he's not gaining drastically. So it's going to be a battle to get back up maybe into the podium, but that'll be about where it stalls out, at least on pace alone. Then we'll have to see how it cycles out with Philip Scott coming down pit road with all these guys that have one more stop to make, and when they choose to make it. It could be anybody's game. We got 3 cars 1 lap down currently. Ratcliffe, Shue, and Elaine all -1 lap. Ratcliffe, the provisional lucky dog. But again, the dogs must not be very lucky today, Peter, because there is no awards being handed out in this event.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Just trying to see what this gap, or at least these lap times are between Philip Scott and Steven Lashinsky. Lap number 71 and 72, Lashinsky was a combined 1.5 seconds slower than Philip Scott. That's surprising. Last time by Lashinsky was 0.8 of a second faster than Philip. Just wonder if Lashinsky's trying to save drops of fuel or not on those laps, or whether or not he encountered lap traffic, or maybe tried to make a pass like he's doing here, trying to get past Tellier. Gonna sneak on by the 47 pretty easily. So Lashinsky is starting to pick up the pace. on Philip Scott over the last 2 laps. We'll see if that continues here as we are at 25 laps to go in the second playoff race here in the National Sim Racing Association.
25 to go, and you can see Lashinsky making up big time there in lap 74 and lap 75. I'm not sure exactly what happened there on lap 72. He must have made some sort of mistake or maybe got caught up in a little bit of traffic. I'm not sure, but he did get around Tellier, did get around Lester. Now he's just got Pendle up there, a couple seconds up the road. See how close he can get. He needs to focus on pushing that car as hard as he can. Ideally, he needs to get as close to Philip Scott before Scott makes that pit stop as he reasonably can, because once Philip Scott comes out of pit road behind Lashinsky, he's going to have fresher tires, and he may very well likely be able to run him down for the race win before they reach the checkered flag. So it's all about this run that he's got right now, and having to work his way through traffic obviously did not help matters any, but Adam Newton coming down pit road, Mike Tellier coming down pit road. So there's 2 of the drivers coming down pit road that had yet to make a stop. Adam Dama also coming down pit road as well. He's a lap down, so he made his stop. That's going to put Lester back up into 5th. It's going to put Lashinsky into 3rd and reduce a little bit of the traffic that he had to deal with. 20 seconds, the difference between Lashinsky and the leader. But I'd have to imagine, Peter, that with Newton, Tellier, and a few of these other guys coming down pit road, this may start off a sequence of events that gets Pendle and Scott to come down pit road maybe a little bit earlier than planned.
Yeah, I just wonder if maybe Philip Scott will react to some of these cars coming down pit road like you kind of just indicated, or whether Philip's going to kind of wait as long as he can to come down pit road. I don't know what Philip Scott's game plan is. I don't know what's going through his head right now. You got kind of one strategy, which is to come down pit road, soon and use up the fresh tires as much as you can. Then you have kind of the alternate strategy, which is to, kind of wait to see if a caution flag comes out. Because if he thinks he's in trouble here with the strategy that he's made, he might try and get that yellow flag to try and reset the field. I'm not 100% sure. We do think that Philip can at least... No, here he comes. He's on pit road right now, back end wiggling as he puts on the brakes. You can tell that he's got a lot of rear brake bias in it as it kind of danced down to that yellow cone where you make your pit road commitment and you have to hit your pit road speed. So he's going to come down to his pit crew here tonight. And you see kind of the look at the end of pit road as the other drivers out there on the racetrack flash on by. That will put Christopher Pendle into the race lead. Steven Lashinsky will be up into 2nd, at least momentarily, as they continue to cycle on through. Philip Scott is in his pit box. There goes Adam Dama flashing by the screen. He, like you had mentioned, Andre, already making his final pit stop. Philip is in his box. You see tires. Well, you kind of can't tell. There you go. Finally, he's down and away out there. Let's see if we can bring up the track graphic. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you see Philip Scott. Bottom right-hand corner, that blue bubble. Now, Steven Lashinsky, we know he's good on fuel. He is in turn number 3. He's on the left side. He's the white number 9 right there in the short chute between turns 3 and 4. So Philip has almost a half of a lap to catch up here in 22 laps. But he does have fresher tires. And, of course, the Ninja Phil, as we call him, will have fire underneath him to click off these laps in a hurry. Right now, about 22 seconds behind Steven Lashinsky. Christopher Pendle is our race leader, though we know... I take this back, Andre. We've been saying Steven Lashinsky, but Christopher Pendle, he bid on lap number 63. He might have kind of tricked us here. Yeah, I think he's going to try and make it to the checkered flag. So
I think he can. I mean, lap 63, that seems doable to me as long as he's not driving flat out the whole time. I could see that.
Of course, what we saw under the last green flag run was that Pendle didn't quite have the same long run pace that Lashinsky did, but Lashinsky is about 4 seconds behind and losing ground.
Yeah, I think he might have just had a bit of a bobble there. He lost about a second in one corner.
Now let's see if we can go back and see what might have happened to Lashinsky in that number 9 machine. Not sure if he just ran high up on the racetrack or what. Let's go look that the number 9 caught Adam Dama. Maybe that's the answer. Caught Dama in the wrong spot, or maybe got in his aero wash. Lost the nose. Oh, yeah, definitely lost the nose on the number 9 machine. Ran way up the racetrack. Could also be clutching it, Andre. You know, sometimes if you start clutching the car, you lose that engine braking from just kind of letting the revs slow you down. Maybe that also was playing against them, but we'll keep an eye on that gap between Pendle and Philip Scott. 20 laps to go. Right on 20 seconds here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So Philip has to average a second per lap faster. We'll see whether or not Philip can do that here as the laps click down.
Yeah, all I can say to Pendle here with Philip Scott charging on them fresh tires is run, Pendle, run, because he's coming quick, man. Philip Scott gained about a second last lap, and really that's what he's got to do. He's got to gain about a second a lap. 19 to go, 19 seconds the gap. So given the fact that he is gaining a little bit more than that, he's definitely got a chance. Now, there are some cars between him. Lester, Lashinsky are going to provide a little bit of a roadblock, a little bit of a road bump for him. It's going to slow that momentum up a little bit. But I think with the pace they're running right now, Philip Scott has a real chance coming back up and reclaiming that race lead. There goes Adam Dama back on the lead lap with those slightly fresher tires. Going to get that lead lap position back, not rely on the seemingly mythical Lucky Dog Award that doesn't exist tonight. And that is going to leave McKee and Elaine, the only two drivers, one lap down. Thad Miller had decided to park it at some point during the night. He's in 12th in that 81 behind the wall. And, of course, Jimbo had announced he felt a little bit over his head and parked it quite a while ago. So 11 cars still on track, but 9 on the lead lap. And the gap to watch is Philip Scott to Pendle. I said he was gaining about a second a lap. He actually gained about 2 seconds last time by. So as these drivers have a little bit of separation, they are continuing to reel each other in. One more time tonight, let's take in the sights and sounds of Indianapolis and go to bring the noise. And we are back from the Bring the Noise. We've been riding along with Lashinsky, just trying to listen in, kind of snoop on him a little bit, see if he's trying to clutch that car and save any fuel, or if he seems to be pretty confident. He is gaining on Pendle quite a bit. You can see in the lap time differential, 9 tenths, 5 tenths, 1 tenth, 6 tenths, another 3 there on the 85. If anybody's saving, it's Pendle. He did come down pit road about 3 laps sooner than Lashinsky, so maybe not as confident, but the real lap time difference, look at this. Philip Scott to Pendle, 2 seconds on 82, 1.5 on 83, 1.7 on 84, 1.3 on 85, and then right there as he crosses the line, it's another 1.4. He is absolutely charging. I don't think it's a question that he gets there. Generally, you would worry about a bit of a tire wear plateau. When you are running somebody down, even if you got fresher tires, you're going to get to a point where, look, 60% tire wear and 40% tire wear kind of feel the same. So, that advantage goes away. But we haven't really seen that in Indianapolis tonight. It's kind of been pretty clear all the way through. Whoever's got the pressure tires is going to be a little bit quicker. So, Philip Scott definitely looking good. He's got 10 more seconds to make up. Oh my goodness, huge issues on the straightaway. Caution comes out for the first time for cause. I believe that's going to be Will Ratcliffe. I saw a white bumper valance spiraling through the air. Now he's going to... Oh, no, don't tell me. Oh, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me. You didn't.
Oh, no.
You didn't.
Doink.
You did. Oh, Will. Oh, Will. We're sorry we showed that. I know that's...
Yeah, just got the rear brakes locked up at the last moment, trying to slow down. It's just coming in a little bit too hot, and doink, right there. And that front bumper flying up on a racetrack, that is a caution if I've ever seen one. Now if you're a Philip Scott fan, that's heartbreaking. Philip Scott had used this final set of tires while, Pendle and Lashinsky and Lester, they haven't used their final set of tires. So, doink. One final look at it. I think he was just coming in maybe just a little bit too hot there, Andre, and tried to get it woed up, locked up the rear brakes, and into the wall he went. But now this is going to be interesting because a couple of drivers, Pendle, Lashinsky, and Lester, they have one final set of tires on pit road. They're going to come down here, use that get that final set of tires, and they're going to be lights out quick here for the final 10 laps or so in the final shootout.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge advantage to these guys, and like you said, Peter, this is a huge blow to Philip Scott's strategy. He needed this to stay green. I think if it had stayed green, it was all but a guaranteed victory, but this will be yet another all but guaranteed victory that may slip through the cracks if it goes the way it looks like it's going to go. Philip's had some pretty bad luck this year, and that does not seem to change, but these guys coming down pit road, giving up a little bit of track position. But here's the beauty of it for these guys as well, Peter. It's kind of a small field out there tonight. They're going to be starting right behind Jason Shu. Brent McKee is going to be end of the longest line because he is our very first for cause lucky dog, getting back up on the lead lap. And so they've only got to pass a handful of cars on much, much fresher tires. And 10 laps doesn't sound like a lot, but here at Indianapolis, that is quite a bit. I mean, given the fact that this is a 100-lap event, that's about a tenth of the event they have to pass just a few cars. And I think it's going to be a no-brainer. And as long as they keep their nose clean, they stay out of trouble, there's no incidents, they should be all right. But it's going to be a bit of a different ending to this event than I think a lot of us were kind of predicting in our crystal balls. But that's the thing about motorsports. That's the thing about NASCAR. It is never over until that checkered flag flies, and this is just another phenomenal example why.
Yeah, definitely a little bit different than what we expected. Of course, this is the first real caution flag for cause we've had all night long. We had, of course, the stage caution come out on lap number 25 here tonight, but it has been green flag ever since. Stay tuned sports in the chat saying that Will is his doppelganger when it comes to accidents. And RC Plains 59 rooting on Philip Scott. It's going to be a tough one here for Scott to hold on, but I've seen stranger things happen. Philip Scott, Adam Newton, Mike Tellier, Adam Dama, those 4 drivers stayed out. They'll inherit first, second, third, and fourth for this upcoming restart. Pace car lights have turned off. We will have a 10-lap shootout here to decide race number 10 on the season. Just 2 more races left after tonight. If you're just now tuning in, we will be at Kansas Motor Speedway next week. That is a 120-lap race, and then we round out our season at the Homestead Miami Speedway for 200 miles, 135 laps for the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast 200. Of course, next week is the Harpoon Design 180 at the Kansas Motor Speedway. So big shout out to Harpoon Design, of course, sponsor of the pole award here. That pole award did go to this man right here who is leading the race, Philip Scott, who has led a majority of tonight's Nitro Memorial 250 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Can he hold on those older tires? For everyone at home, those tires are 12 laps old. You'll have to hold off the fresh, brand new tires of Christopher Pendle, Steven Lashinsky, Tom Lester, and I think even Jason Shue in the number 3 machine a little bit further back finally took on his final set of tires. So, Andre, we're about to get set to go back green here.
Yeah, it's going to be a handful for that 99. This is going to be a very difficult situation he's been put in, but he's going to do the best he can. That's all you really can do sometimes. Pace car coming down into pit road. Hopefully, a little bit better pit road entry than Will Ratcliffe, but in Will's defense, I think I've done that exact thing about a dozen times throughout the various NASCAR video games, so it happens to the best of us. Green flag getting ready to be waved through the Geico restart zone. Philip Scott, Adam Newton, these drivers on older tires are going to get a pretty solid jump, but look at Pendle in the 94. He is already eyeing up a potential 3-wide situation now to the outside of the 47. Mike Tellier, he's going to pick up another position out onto the straightaway, already back on the podium, and now just a couple more cars to eye up and try to get around. Number 4 gets a little bit squirrely out of the corner. That's going to open up a huge run for Chris Pendle. There he goes to the quarter panel, has the preferred lane going into the corner. He's going to be able to force that number 4 out of line, and that is going to be another position on the pylon, given he executes it properly, and he does. One more position to the lead. If he gets there, that may be all she wrote, but into the wall he goes. Don't want to do that when you're trying to get to the lead. That's counterproductive. And also, look behind as well. It looks like old Adam Newton is going to get overtaken again by Lester, who also has fresh tires. This is a crazy situation, but Philip Scott holding on at least for one lap there, Peter. 1/10 of the job has been done. The 99 holds on just one more time to see if the 94 can continue to reel him in.
Yeah, and I just wonder if that right front damage is going to come back to bite Pendle. We see definitely some right front damage after contacting with the outside wall there in turn number 3. Philip Scott continuing to able to hold on, but that number 94 has a good run here down the backstretch. Not going to have a peak to the inside, so Philip will hold on here for at least another couple of corners, but that's just the attitude of that number 94. He's going to have a look to turn number 4. I thought that the number 99 was going to hold on through turns 3 and 4, but that's not the case as Pendle gets up to the front to the race lead in the number 94 Bill Elliott throwback, but here comes Tom Lester, and now Lester has a look to the inside. Andre, could that right front damage now be a big benefit for Tom Lester, who really hasn't had the most stellar night in the 48, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, sometimes fortune just kind of favors you, and it's looking like he may get, at the very minimum, podium position, but if he can reel in Chris Pendle, he may be looking at a race win here in the 48. Philip Scott slipping back to 30. Scott Lashinsky in the number 9 right behind him. So we'll see how that develops. But out front, these two running very similar pace, very similar lines through turn 4. You can see they're both just about half a lane up from that white line. Not trying to get too crazy, not trying to flirt with disaster down there on the curb. But here we go. Lashinsky versus the 99 of Scott. Coming down the straightaway, the 9 has the run. He's got the pressure tires. He is going to look down to the bottom. And now to that white line, he is going to pick up the 3rd step on the podium. So now all 3 cars out front do have fresher tires. And now it's going to be a battle between these three to see who is going to walk away with the trophy here at the Nitro Memorial 250.
Yeah, 7 more laps around here at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The yard of bricks on the front stretch is what all these drivers will want to at least virtually kiss after the race. Meanwhile, here comes Jason Shu looking to the inside of Brent McKee. That's tight. Shu was so low on the racetrack, not where you want to be, Andre. You mentioned it earlier that you want to be up by the wall to kind of get down to the apex of the corner. Well, Shu was kind of all the way on the inside of the racetrack, the opposite of where you want to be, and almost got into the left-hand side of the number 29 Red Bull Toyota. Looks like McKee throwing a little bit of a block here on the straightaway. They know that the lap count is only 6 more to go. Now, Shu going to have to try and go around the outside to try and make this the pass. Not able to do so. Tries to maybe cut back underneath with a little bit of the over-under move. Nothing doing for Shu as looking out front. There we go. Looks like finally, Andre, he's got that run out of turn number 2. Going to draw level here halfway down the backstretch. Looks like Mike Tellier going to drop to the inside, maybe give Shu a little bit of a draft, and Shu will pick up the spot up to 7th. Now going to try and close in on Mike Tellier. We know Shu has fresher tires in the number 3 Toyota, although he got high on the racetrack. Looks like McKee caught the wall out of turn 3. Just followed him up the racetrack a little bit too much on those older tires, and yep, still McKee having problems with a big wiggle. Wow, that was one heck of a save after smacking the wall out of 4.
Yeah, it was a good save, but yeah, you can't really blame McKee for that block he threw earlier. He is a playoff driver. He's trying to get every single point that he can possibly get, and being on the older tires, he's at a disadvantage. He's got to kind of do some things out on track. He's got to make some moves if he wants to salvage anything, and unfortunately not quite working out as he slips back to 8th place, but he is making a valiant effort at it. He's got Adam Dama right behind there in the 28, currently running P9, but finally getting a little bit of separation. I was curious how chaotic this restart would be with a mixed tire strategy. Here goes Jason Shu. He's one of the drivers on fresher tires. He's going to get around the 47, and oh man, Mike Tellier, he saw that 3 make the move and maybe got on the loud pedal a little bit too soon, trying to stick with him. But those old tires not having it into the outside wall. That was a significant hit. That is likely to give him a little bit of damage back there in 7th place. But Jason Shu, if he can run down Adam Newton, this is going to be what I believe would be his first top 5 of the season, if he can get there.
Yeah, Jason Shu here showing that those fresher tires are definitely the big benefit at this stage of the race. 4 laps to go, trying to run down the number 4 machine. Now let's talk about the kind of the playoff situation, because the playoff situation, Adam Newton was our points leader entering into tonight. Tom Lester in 2nd in points. He is running 2nd right now, so Lester might actually come out of here as the points leader. And then he was tied on points with TJ Lane, and Lane has just not had a good night. 1 lap down there in 10th. Pendle came into tonight 4th in points. He's having a great night. Of course, looking at this point just 3 laps away from getting the checkered flag. Then Mike Tellier, Thad Miller, Garrett Gleason, Brent McKee, those drivers having a little bit of a mixed bag. Of course, Tellier and McKee 7th and 8th. Garrett Gleason not here tonight, and we'll see whether or not anyone can kind of move up into the top 4 that's not currently in the top 4. But we'll only have 4 drivers competing for the championship after next week at Kansas at Homestead, 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how the points picture shakes out. With 3 to go, though, Jason Shu in the number 3, trying to get around Adam Newton, but Newton doing a good job playing some defense, putting him in dirty air, trying to just run his line, make sure that he keeps that 3 at bay, and so far he's done a good job, but with the difference in tires, it's going to be tough. Looks like Jason Shu got a really good turn 4. That's going to close him in a couple of car lengths. Not quite close enough to get up underneath of him, so not what I would consider striking distance, but he is close enough now that he's going to be applying the pressure to that number 4. He's got to get a couple more good corners. He may be on his way to his first top 5 of the year. Down to that white line, running a good line through there. He's going to have to get a good corner exit, and unfortunately just a little bit squirrely there, it looks like. Cost him a little bit, half a car length, and that is sometimes all the difference. But the number 4 making a bit of a mistake there. I don't know if he scraped the wall or what exactly happened there, but gave up a little bit of speed on the straightaway. That closed shoe right back up, kind of made up for the mistake that he had made prior. Take a look at the 3-wide TV replay. Did he... Oh, we have an issue with Lashinsky, or a moment with Lashinsky at least. He's going to get down underneath the 48. This is going to be for second place. And does he complete the move? It looks like he blinks out of existence and side by side still down through the short chute into the turn 4 complex. Is he going to get clear of him? Yes, he does. So the number 9 takes second place, or took second place moments ago. But here comes the 94 to the white flag. Final lap of the race. The race is official now. If the caution were to come out, it would just end the race. So all Pendle needs to do with a half a second advantage is hit his marks, put in one more clean lap. Lashinsky not necessarily out of it as they round turn 2. Or I'm sorry, that's turn 4. To the checkered flag. He played the strategy game right. And Chris Pendle going to get redemption from last week and win the Nitro Memorial 250 here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, wow, what a great race by Christopher Pendle. Got lucky, might have gotten lucky with that caution flag, but played the strategy right. Same with Steven Lashinsky and Tom Lester. Philip Scott finishing in 4th here tonight. Adam Newton in 5th. Jason Shue not quite able to squeak out that top 5, but for Pendle, a great run, a great win here. He's been strong over the last couple of weeks, Andre. Definitely finding his muscle here at the right time, late in the season.
Yeah, if you're going to catch fire, generally the end of the year is when you want to do it in a playoff format, and he is doing just that. So just showing a lot of speed and a lot of smarts, too. It's not all about raw pace sometimes. Sometimes it's about making the right strategy and hoping that maybe luck falls in your favor a little bit here and there. And tonight it has for Chris Pendle, taken a win that, man, oh man, it was looking a little bit dreary there for a few laps when we saw that 99 closing in on the fresher tires, but that caution changed absolutely everything. And now in the Batman Bill Elliott throwback, Pendle's going to burn it to the ground across the yard of bricks. Can't quite get out of the car and kiss him virtually, but maybe we'll add a quick time event into that here on iRacing. Probably not. There's the 51 giving him a bit of a congratulatory wave out the window. And there it is, giving the fans a smoke show.
Yeah, giving the fans a smoke show, that is for sure. Not sure why his car down there in the bottom left is still showing the AutoZone number 94. Really don't know. Maybe that's I don't know. Maybe I needed to re-download the paints. Didn't have them quite right tonight or something like that. But for Christopher Pendle in that number 94, he will burn him down. But let's see if we can start to line up some post-race interviews for everyone at home with Lester, Lashinsky, and Pendle. As let's see if we can get Tom Lester down here into the 3-wide TV booth. Just there we go. Andre, why don't you take it away with tonight's third place finisher driver of the number 48 Mastrino. It was a strong showing for Tom Lester.
Mr. Lester, you got a copy?
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Well, Tom, the race really kind of turned on its head there with that caution coming out late, but you were one of the drivers who wisely saved a set of tires for just such an occasion, and as a result, you're driving away with a podium. But it wasn't just strategy. You were fast all night long. I think you were definitely a podium contender with or without that caution. That 48 has looked fast, not just this week, but in the last few weeks as well. You've been on fire. Tell me a little bit about your race.
Well, I had to go on a different strategy because Chris and Steven and Adam and Philip, they was way too fast. So I had to try something different, stayed out, and prayed for that caution to come out. And it came out, at the right time.
Yeah, that it did. It really gave you a little bit of an advantage with those tires, and had a bit of a battle there at the end with Steven Lashinsky. You two were kind of duking it out for some points. What was it like when you get side by side with somebody? I know Indianapolis it's a narrow track, it's a flat track. I've always personally felt really uncomfortable trying to make overtakes and battling with people at this track. What was it like from behind the wheel of the 48?
Ain't worth trying to race him and wrecking yourself out, you know what I'm saying, and being 7th, 8th place car and top 3 car.
Absolutely, generally the smart decision. Well, hey, Tom, congratulations on your podium, and here's to many more.
All right, I appreciate it. And appreciate Steven and Chris on their run, too.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, Tom.
All right, team ball.
All right, 3rd place finisher out of the booth. Man, a few words. Now it is time to have a word with 2nd place, Stephen Lashinsky. See if we can pull him up with Peter.
Killed us.
Well, sorry about
Peter?
that, folks. I have a screaming child in the background, and I don't know why he just got home, and he is absolutely inconsolable. So I apologize if you can hear a screaming kid in the background, but I had to go kind of attend to that. But hey, we are here, 2nd place finisher here tonight, Stephen Lashinsky. And Stephen, I thought at one point you were in the catbird seat here tonight, but a late race caution kind of changed everything. Kind of tell us about your night, nonetheless. A great run, a very strong run in the Monster Jam Chevy Camaro.
Yeah, definitely it was a good run. I learned how to race this track in Justin's other league with Ryan Truex and Tyler Truex. They taught me how to run the corners, so I took what they taught me on this one and transferred over, and I was making speed all night.
Yeah, you definitely were, and of course, a little bit different strategy than Philip Scott and some of the other drivers in the field, where you were going to try that one less pit stop. I think the big question was, were you going to be good on fuel, and do you think Philip Scott would have caught you if it had stayed green?
I was looking at the data, and Philip was going to be right there with me and Christopher right at the end. Me and Chris were both saving. You'll hear from Chris here in a little bit. We were both saving fuel, and I think I was right at the end. I was going to make it right to the starting line.
Well, you definitely did a great job here tonight, and carrying that momentum on into the Kansas Speedway next week. What are your thoughts of Kansas the mile and a half?
I'm going to have to practice a little bit. I'm not that great on like those type of speedways. I'm good with flat tracks, but so I'm going to put the work in this weekend and get ready for next week.
All right. Well, Stephen, before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
I want to thank Jimbo for putting on a fantastic league. This is a great league to run in. Monster Jam for giving me the time off to run in this league right now. My schedule's right now a little bit off right now. And just thank you guys for putting on a good product on the TV, and I appreciate it.
All right, well, folks, that is going to do it for tonight's runner-up, Stephen Lashinsky. Stephen, congratulations on the run. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, we'll get him out of the booth, and we'll let Andre Grandbush run down to Victory Lane, where Christopher Pendle is right there below the pagoda.
Mr. Pendle, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Chris, that was a phenomenal run. Both just on pace and through strategy. Early on in the race, you were showing that you could click off laps just about as fast as anybody out there. And then when it came down to who wisely saved a set and who didn't, well, you had a set, and you carved your way up through the field and just drove straight to that checkered flag.
Yeah, man. That was my intentions there. I was actually talking to TJ about it in the chat. I think we had 35 laps on a run, and after the stage break, I figured if you play your cards right and if you ran it dry and you saved, if you was able to save the lap, you could make it. And that's what I was trying to do, was a save the lap, and it worked out to our advantage. I think I would have made it. I probably would have ran off coming out of turn 4, and the 9 would have got me. But if we'd stayed green, but luckily for us, the caution came out, and there was only 3 of us that had fresh tires left, so I was able to get through the front quicker, and it was smooth sailing from there. I kind of got a little bit nervous because I kept getting loose a couple times in the corners, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I finally had one go my way.
Yes, you did. A little bit of redemption from the bad luck you've had recently. And, you mentioned a little bit of saving. And Indianapolis, luckily, is a track that kind of it makes saving possible. You got some off-throttle time. The corners are kind of long and sweeping. Was that kind of just the strategy for fuel saving, just back up the corner entry? Were you clutching it all at any point?
Yeah, I was actually clutching it. There was a couple times I was turning the car off, and most of the time I was clutching it. I was backing up my corners early, I think the 9 was doing it too, because there was times where I could see my telemetry. He was saving as well. You just got the best way to save here is just hopefully you get it behind a guy in the draft, or you just let off early and clutch it. I did that for the 15 laps or so, and like I said, I probably would have made it, but it had been really close. But yeah, this place has not really been kind to me in the past. So to come out here and get the win and finally have something go my way and lock myself into the Final Four is pretty freaking awesome.
Indeed, you're going to have a chance at the championship with that performance. And yeah, it was a great performance and a great paint scheme, by the way. I love the throwback. So glad to see that paint scheme done some justice there in the 94. But congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, is there any shout outs you'd like to make?
Obviously, thank you guys for broadcasting this league. This league's been awesome ever since I joined it. Thanks to Jimbo for letting me, Justin, thanks for letting me race this. I really appreciate it. Thanks for TJ Lane for being an awesome teammate and awesome paint scheme. He's the one that designed my scheme. That Thunderbat looked really, really good tonight. Thanks everybody in the league for being clean and respectful, racing me clean. I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks and looking forward to next season if they let me come back.
And so are we. Definitely looking forward to it. And best of luck in the round of 4, Chris.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, race winner out of the booth, and that is going to do it for us here at the post-race show, just about. But yeah, Peter, that was that was something. I really thought we were going to get through that race completely clean and green, no cautions, and when it did come out at the most dramatic time. Chris Pendel taking the win. Stephen Lashinsky going to be P2 in the number 9. Tom Lester with a smart strategy finishes on the last step of the podium. Philip Scott, bad luck strikes again. It wasn't quite a tornado, but it may as well have been, taking him down to 4th place after dominating the majority of this event. Adam Newton going to finish in 5th place. Another good points day for that number 4. Jason Shue gets just shy of his first career top 5 in the league, but still a great top half of the running order finish. Mike Tellier in the 47 machine, the Canadian, finishes P7. Adam Dama 8th. Brent McKee going to be P9. TJ Elaine in that 51 goes a lap down right at the very end, rounding out the top 10. Then you got the stragglers, Will Ratcliffe, Thad Miller, and Jimbo Casterline rounding out the field.
Yeah, so a little bit of a smaller field here tonight in Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but of course, Mile and a Half Racing is back next week here in the Stay Tuned Sports Series, and of course, we'll round out the season in 2 weeks. We'll figure out who our champion is. All these races culminating here at the end of the month of October. But a lot of fun here tonight, expecting more action of the same next week. Keeps us on our toes week after week after week here in the Stay Tuned Sports Series. That's why I love it. That's why we keep coming back. But for myself, Peter Short, and Andre Grambush, and all others, as part of the 3 Wide TV family, folks, stay safe and all that good stuff, and we shall see ya.